This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe from hackers. For example, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries, streaming services such as DAZN in Spain for those all-important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe if you use public Wi-Fi, such as a college or a cafe. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning that you can even share an account with friends and family. On top of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, you can even get your money back. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for just over €2 per month and up to 4 months free. Why not scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description to take advantage of this offer. Good evening, my friends. How are we? You are very welcome along to Friday night's late night agenda. Well, the good news is we are 2 days away from the Reds being back in action. Then, of course, we've got the game against Atletico Madrid on Wednesday to look forward to. So tonight we're going to speak about Arne Slot's press conference. We're going to talk about the possibility of a double raid for Crystal Palace in January. We'll give you some words from former manager Rafael Benitez on Mohamed Salah, a little bit on Tyler Morton, and of course any other subjects that you guys would like to discuss. The floor is yours. I hope that you're all in good spirits. Thankfully, I was able to get enough paracetamol into me that I'm feeling okay to stream this evening. So, yeah, it's Friday night. I hope you have a good weekend planned. Tomorrow is my live day off, so there will be a preview and a news video out. But we'll be back then on Sunday for the game. So I hope you're all well. Loads for us to talk about tonight. Let's start off with some hellos. That's the nicest way to start the stream, I think. Mike Manser, nice to see you. Our other Mike from Philly, happy birthday to you, sir. I know it's your birthday today, so happy birthday, bro. Many happy returns. Did I have a good birthday? I did, thank you, Dark Ruby. Yeah, nice quiet day. Because, you know, when you get to my age, that's all you want in life. There's a bit of peace and quiet. So I'm all good, thank you, yeah. A little bit nasally, I think. You know, I get this change of weather, cold. Every time the weather goes from warm to cold or cold to warm, I get a bit of a head cold for a few days. So, yeah, I'll able to stream tonight, rest up tomorrow. Hopefully should be all good to go then for Sunday. So, look, we've got a lot to talk about. Arne Slot has been speaking quite a bit ahead of the game against Burnley. And one thing I guess I want to draw everybody's attention to is the only injury concern that Liverpool really have for the game is Curtis Jones. Arne said in his press conference today that Curtis wouldn't be available for the game, having picked up an injury in the last game before the international break, so that rules him out. Don't think that will really have too many concerns or too many implications to the starting 11, but it is the only player that we don't have available. So we know a couple of things. We know that Liverpool have also today submitted their 24-man squad for the first half of the Premier League season, so I'm going to give you a little update on exactly who's in it. Everybody, pretty much, but we'll go through that. We'll talk about Isak and the battle versus Haaland for the Golden Boot. We'll have a little chat around Frimpong being back. Do we think he'll play? And of course, loads of other bits and pieces. Let's start. Let's go in with the squad, because I was reading this just before I went live on the Echo, and Liverpool have named that 24-man squad. So this squad is for the first half of the Premier League campaign, and of course, it can be topped up with under 18, under 21 and younger players, but this is the 24-man squad that Liverpool have submitted to the Premier League. So the goalkeepers, Alisson, Georgi Mamadashvili, Woodman and Rosek. Although how much action the latter two will get, that remains to be seen. Probably not much. Defenders, Joe Gomez, Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahim Kanade, Milos Kerkez, Connor Bradley, Andy Robertson, Jeremy Frimpong, Williams and Ramsey are the other two. So Reece Williams and Calvin Ramsey, the last two, although again, not sure quite how many, if any, minutes those guys will get. Midfield, Liverpool have named Endo, Wirtz, Szoboszlai, McAllister, Jones and Gravenberch. And for the forwards, Isak, Salah, Chiesa, Gakpo and Ekitike. The selected under-21 players as well by Cecic, Chambers, Dans, Gordon, Cone Doherty, Leone, Nallo, Engamoa, Neone, Pecci, Scanlon and Wright. So plenty of options there for the Reds throughout the season. Like I said, submitted the 24-man squad, but can be supplemented by those under-21 players as well. Right, let me see. This one. Wouter, how are we, sir? And thank you so much for your super chat. Said, good evening, Craig. There's a rumour that Baumann is moving from Ajax to Liverpool. What's your opinion? We discussed it a little bit yesterday. I think I should still have my notes on it, dude. Give me 1 second. I don't know much about him, to be honest with you, mate, but we did speak a little bit about him yesterday as there was a link. Team Talk said Liverpool or Manchester United are among a host of top clubs tracking Ajax teenage wonderkid defender Aaron Baumann. Now look, I don't know much about him, to be honest with you. I'm still getting over the fact that we didn't move for another young Ajax defender who we'd been linked to for quite a while. But of course, we got Giovanni Leone in instead. So, yeah, the rumour's definitely there, my man. I just don't know when, if, any time Liverpool will make that move, because I don't really know much about Aaron Baumann. So I'll do my best to find out. But again, you aren't wrong. There's certainly been links there. Sunil said, we need Gay in January for the business end. Canade's future uncertain. We will realise we're short a centre-back in the next few weeks and months. Pay the 20 mil. So, on that, because it's a good jumping off point here, Sunil. So I was watching Sky Sports earlier on, and they were running through the press conferences from all the managers and a few bits and pieces. And one thing that they were at pains to say was that Arne Slot cannot rule out the possibility of going back in for Mark Gay in January. Now, of course, this is a little bit different to what the plan had been, but like I said to you the other day, it is football, and the reason, Sunil, that you've put out there, very fair. I have the same concerns as you about Canade, and again, if Mark Gay is available for that business end of the season, you know, if the Reds want to go and get him, brilliant, but it would maybe take some convincing for Mark Gay to move mid-season, and also, we still don't know how Crystal Palace would deal with that. You know, would they be open to a move in January? Would they be able to find a replacement? You know, would Oliver Glasner throw his toys out of his pram again? I don't know. But as well as him, there's talk about Liverpool moving for Wharton, and that really caught my eye today. So, Empire of the Cop posted to say, Liverpool are expected to push for a January move for Adam Wharton, whose asking price in the winter market is expected to be around £60 million, a significant decrease on the £100 million that Palace were demanding during the summer. So, I mean, that is, if true, a very significant decrease in price there for Wharton. And, you know, I know he's a player that a lot of you guys would love Liverpool to bring in, and I totally understand why. We could probably do with a bit more depth in the central defensive midfield area, but we also have a few months now to have a look at Stefan Bajcetic and see how he gets on. So, you know, I'll keep an eye on this one for you, but it was exciting when I'd seen it today, because I know he's a player many of you guys really, really like the idea of. David said, I hope you enjoyed your 39.5th birthday. I'm proud of you, David. Well done for remembering that. My wife even remembered it as well. It was good. Thank you, mate. Yes, it was good. I'm not sure how happy I am sharing that birthday with I was going to say my wife's boyfriend. That would be a strange one. My daughter's boyfriend, also with the same birthday. But yeah, it was a good one. Thank you, David. I'm very boring in my old age, so a quiet day and a bit of cake, and I'm happy. John, how are we, my man? Nice to see you. Did you see the stats published, Ori Canade, in the Iceland game? Amazing numbers, so much so I thought that they'd been submitted by his mum. Much better. No excuses now for shit shows from him. I didn't see the numbers, but, you know, going off the good form, John, that he carried into the Arsenal game, and look, let's be fair to the man, he was really, really good, as was the whole defence. You know, to see him carry that good form into the French national team, hopefully that is a good sign for us, mate, going forward, that, his form is where we want it to be. So I can't get away from the fact that I'm still disappointed that we are here, John. You know, I'm not going to lie about that. But if Canade can keep his levels up, happy days. Just, I'd like the clarity on the situation sooner or later about his contract. But on contracts, actually, Graham Bailey said today that Liverpool owners, Fenway Sports Group, have opened discussions with their CEO of football, Michael Edwards, over a new long-term deal, which is brilliant. We mentioned this the other day. Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes, Arne Slot all signed 3-year contracts when they came back to the club or came into the club. So, you know, we would expect all three of those to get offered new deals over the course of the next few months. Where are we at? Wharton said he's staying till next summer anyway, so we ain't going for him in January. Okay, because nothing ever changes, mate, in life, you know? Just because somebody said something once, that means he's never going anywhere. Are you always so defeatist, or... You know, I don't know what's up, mate, but again, like I said, I didn't write the article. If you want to have a moan at Graham Bailey or whoever did, or Team Talk, feel free to send them an email, but I'm only reporting on what's being said. And like you've said, if he said he's not going to go, well, let's see. Let me put it to you this way, mate. If you're Adam Morton and Liverpool come in for you in January, and Liverpool are challenging for the Premier League, Liverpool are in the latter stages of the Champions League, would you turn it down? Probably not, right? So, like I said, best laid plans and all that, but things can change. It is football after all. Corbin said, happy belated birthday. Thanks for all the laughs. Thank you, dude. Appreciate you. Thank you for being on the receiving end of those laughs sometimes. Appreciate you. Harry said, hi, Craig. You good? I'm okay. You and your wife going to watch the UFC? Probably not. You know, if I'm watching anything tomorrow night anyway, it'll be the Canelo fight, even though I don't think I'll be able to watch that because it's very late and I'm up obviously for the game the next day. So I'll probably watch that back on Netflix at some point on Sunday. But yeah, looking forward to the weekend. Saturday's my day off, so don't really know what to be doing with myself. But I'm looking forward to the Reds being back in action on Sunday. It feels so long. 2 weeks I know, but it feels much longer. Leroy said, Craig, I saw a Sky Sports interview with the Palace coach and he said that at no time, did he tell Paris that he would have left if Gay was sold. He said that's not true. So again, I think, he's in the room, mate. I'm not. But it was very clear that he was going to be unhappy. So look, he kind of had Paris by the short and curlies because I think his contract is also up at the end of the year. And if Steve Parish had have gone against his wishes and sold the central defender out from under him, then maybe the chances of Oliver Glasner extending at Palace were out the window. So I don't know, but ultimately it doesn't really matter who said, he said, she said. We didn't get the player in the end, and again, I've always understood, like if I was in Oliver Glasner's position, I wouldn't want to lose him either. But if you're a chairman, you've got to look after the financial side of it as well. So it's a big risk, but it's their decision to make, and we just have to move on and hope that we see Mark Gay in a Liverpool shirt in the future. Matteo said, any word on Isak getting some minutes at the end of the match? Yes. So Arna was speaking today about Isak, and I will give you a little bit of what he had to say. He said, don't expect him to be fit and playing every single game, 90 minutes on the pitch. That's definitely not going to happen in the upcoming weeks. He missed pre-season. He missed 3 to 4 months of team sessions, and now we have to build him up gradually. He also went on, Matteo, to praise John Dahl Tomasson, the Swedish national team coach, for the way that he handled Isak and didn't force the minutes for him in this window. In this international break. So good news on that one. But yes, Arna kind of did intimate we may see some minutes from Isak off the bench, which, let's be honest, we're all waiting and looking forward to seeing. He did say as well, Curtis Jones got injured in the last game, so he won't be available against Burnley, but I think the rest of them all came back without a problem. Exciting stuff though, isn't it? We aren't that far away now from seeing Isak actually out there on the pitch in a Liverpool shirt. He also said, our manager, we mainly signed a player for his qualities, therefore I didn't need to call Isak, because he was asked had he spoken much with Alexander Isak since the move. He said, we faced him a few times, I faced him a few times, and we know what a quality player he is, saying that he was one of, if not the best striker in the world, which is a big compliment. Also made it very clear that he was the guy he wanted, he was the number one, and the club got him, so I think it's just happy days all around on that one. But yeah, certainly think he'll get some minutes, Matteo, on Sunday. Sunil said, we can go for Wharton in the summer. Our immediate need is a centre-back. Also, did you listen to the Glasner interview? Apparently, he didn't threaten to quit. I did listen to, like the gentleman said a minute ago, I did listen to the bits on Sky. And, whether he threatened to quit or not, it's kind of irrelevant. He said very clearly he didn't want the player to go, which, again, I understand. From our perspective, look, I just want Liverpool to have the best selection of players that they can. And, like I said yesterday, it's unfortunate, but it's not like we didn't try to sign him. It was out of our hands in the end. So fingers crossed we do get a good season from Canade, and of course Gomez and Leone can keep up their fitness and hopefully get minutes as well. But I don't know if I believe that one, to be honest, that he didn't threaten to quit. I mean, you can intimate that you want to quit without actually saying the words, I will quit. But I'm very intrigued to see what happens with Oliver Glasner's contract extension now, because there's been a big roll of the dice here from Crystal Palace. Yeah, the idea of maybe Mark A helping them push on to win the Europa Conference League is possible. They've also lost some players recently, Eze, obviously Elise before that. And they know they're going to get raided for Wharton at some point in the future, and Mark A isn't going to sign a new contract, so the only options there will be January or free next summer. And the problem the Palace will have then is they've brought in a young centre-back from France, 19 years of age. I think Oliver Glasner said he played about 1,000 minutes in Ligue 1 so far. So at some point they're still going to have to find this replacement centre-back, but the money ain't going to be there. So best of luck to them. It's their headache. Stargirl, how are you, my friend? Belated happy birthday, thank you. Sorry I wasn't here yesterday, but I hope you had a lovely time. Have you got anything planned for tomorrow? No, not really, to be honest. Just probably trying to get over this head cold and chilling out a little bit, watching a bit of footy. I don't even know what Premier League games are on tomorrow, in all honesty, Stargirl. I haven't had a look yet, but I'll definitely be tuning in for the second half of the Manchester Derby after our game on Sunday. And thank you again for the happy birthday wishes. David said, I think we should sell Canade if he doesn't sign. I hope you have had a good day. So the thing about that is you have to have a willing player in that scenario as well. Now, I don't know if you guys seen this today, but Antonio Rudiger's out for about 3 months, maybe a bit longer. Could be up until December. So I don't know if that would maybe kick along Real Madrid's need or want to bring Canade in earlier if they could. I really don't know. It would be, again, a lot of upheaval. One centre-back we'd have to go and get from Palace mid-season. And then, of course, if we sold Canade. But that's the only way I could see a possible sale there, David. Yeah, players don't want to go mid-season usually. And, you know, will Liverpool get the type of money that they would deem fair to let Canade go? I'd be very surprised if he goes mid-season. But like I keep saying, it is football and you can never rule anything out entirely. Right, let's get back into the chat. Wasn't having a dig at you, Craig. Was just saying that Wharton said in the summer, not 100% convinced by him either. Certainly not starting over Grav, and I'd like Stefan to get the chance. So I'm with you on that one, mate. Not so much. And I didn't think you were having a go, by the way. Sorry, I'm probably just a bit cranky because I'm sick. I agree on Stefan. Big fan of Stefan Bajcetic. Really looking forward to seeing him developing. Wharton, look, he's a good player, but he has had some injuries as well. So I think you need to balance that out. And especially when you're looking at the price here, would we really drop 60 million quid on what would be a competitor or a backup for Ryan Gravenberch? I find it hard to believe that. So, you know, it's an exciting name. Let's see if there's any truth to it. I guess we'll find out over the coming months. But like you've said, I've got eyes on Bajcetic as well, mate. And I'm hoping that he is able to get minutes this season and show the manager what he can do, because I think he's a great player. Lauren, hey Craig, your community is a wonderful place. I pop in and out sometimes. You're my Friday night entertainment. Are you dressing up for Halloween? Maybe as broccoli. Definitely not as broccoli. No. Thankfully the kids and all now are old enough that we don't have to do the Halloween stuff anymore. But I did enjoy it when they were younger, I have to say. Joseph said, hey Craig, excited for the Atletico game. Oh, I don't know if you can use the words excited to play Atletico Madrid. It's usually a tough 90 minutes, isn't it? Now, they have a lot of injury concerns. Even their new signing came back from Argentina injured. And they've only had 2 points from 9 at the start of the La Liga campaign. So we might be getting them at a good time. Obviously, Julian Alvarez will get a look at maybe what he could have had at some point as well. But, you know, you're never going to have an easy game against Atletico Madrid. Diego Simeone will set them up to frustrate us. We know what the play acting will be like. So an early goal would do no harm in this game, you know, maybe to have to draw them out of their shell a little bit. So I'm not looking forward to it because it's the Champions League and you're always excited for that. But I'm also, well aware of what we're going to get with Atletico. Billy said it might be a 0-0 like last season. I hope not. No 0-0s. I hate 0-0s. They're boring. Jex, how are you, sir? Said, hey Craig, hope you're well. Your thoughts on CDM's spot in the January window? I'm thinking more of a backup to Grav. Love the stream. Well, the chatter today was about a potential move for Wharton. Like I said to our friend a minute ago, though, Summerpool, it's it's a lot of money, isn't it? Talking about a 60 million player to come in, but who knows? I think there is still the avenue there to give Stefan Bajcetic a chance. And don't forget, we have Trent in the squad as well. So where the manager ultimately views his future, is it as a 6, is it as an 8, is it somewhere else? Not sure, but I like that we get to give these guys 6 months now. Like, would we have been better off squad-wise to bring in a backup? Yeah, maybe. I can totally understand that argument, but I also do like the idea of, let's give these kids a look. Like, let's give Leone a look. Let's give Bajcetic a look. Maybe the League Cup game against Southampton would be a good way to give them minutes, but we've time. And again, no need to rush into this decision for the club. Let's see how the lads develop. And most importantly, if they can stay fit. Oh, you were talking about the Manchester derby. Yeah, they're always weird games. Weird games. Both of those managers going into that, Ruben Amorim and Pep, both have massive pressure. Like, imagine just for a second if United could somehow beat City. That means City would have lost 3 of their first 4 games. Pretty much out of a title race already then. Although the media will never say that because, of course, they'll give us the whole, it's Pep and nothing's possible. But, if they don't win this game, you'd have to say, are they really title contenders at that point? Probably not, especially if we've gone and beaten Burnley at that point, which fingers crossed we do. So yeah, it's a very interesting one, this Manchester derby. All signs probably point to a comfortable Manchester City win, but there's even an upside to that, isn't there? If they win, then United's manager's back under pressure again. Christian, how are we, my bearded friend? Always lovely to see you, bro. Hope you had an amazing birthday. I did, thank you. Yes, I got some nice bits and pieces. Some lovely Mercedes, Adidas tracksuit top and sweatshirt. That's the one. So yeah, I'm all good, my man. Thank you. Another year older, hopefully another year wiser as well. But we'll leave that out. The jury's definitely out on that part. Ed said, Craig, do you think Burnley will play with a low block? I'm old school and I think they'll park the bus. I agree. And I understand why as well. It's always monotonous and horrible to go and play the teams that do that, Ed, isn't it? But if I was in their shoes, you're hardly going to want to go out there and play an open, expansive game against Liverpool. So I get it. Like I said earlier on, I think Arne spoke about this as well. You need to get an early goal where possible in these games. You don't want this going 55, 60 minutes, Burnley defending for their lives, goalkeeper having a worldie, Michael Oliver doing Michael Oliver things, and Newcastle fans, my God, they're obsessed. I swear to God, these lads are obsessed. They're already posting pictures of Michael Oliver in a Newcastle shirt and saying things like, the excuses will be ready from the Liverpool lads if they lose this weekend. What's it got to do with you lads? We're playing Burnley, not Newcastle. If Michael Oliver does anything in the game, we'll talk about it, but they're obsessed. It's weird. They just won't let this whole thing go. And again, the coverage is hilarious. Still no talk about Visa doing the same thing. It's like that just went straight over their heads. Although he's not available for them. Ironically, he's out with a knee injury. Well, now that you're a bit older, what's your advice for young people? Take chances. Honestly, it's simple, but as I've gotten older, and hopefully a little bit wiser, I regret the things I didn't do and the chances I didn't take, because I've never been somebody that worries about failing. If you try something that doesn't work out, learn from it, go again. But one thing I would say about this generation of younger people is I'm incredibly proud of them, because they've been through a lot. To come through COVID time, early in your adolescence or whatever, very proud of how they've turned out. I look at my daughter, I look at her friends. I would say, maybe people think I'm wrong on this, I think this generation are a little bit more boring than my generation. Maybe boring isn't the right word, but they certainly aren't as fond of a tipple as maybe my generation. I don't see as many people as messy as I was. My daughter is 21 and she seems quite naive compared to what I was like at 21. So yeah, look, proud of the next generation. I love that they're willing to speak their minds, stand up for themselves, and I hope that the world settles down a bit, because it's a scary ass place at the minute. Lots of anger and hate out there, and we need to have more dialogue and more love in the world. Like I always said, love always wins. And I learned that when I opened up and softened up a little bit, my life changed. When I became a bit more vulnerable and a bit less cranky, probably, it made me a better person. So that would probably be my advice. Just don't give up and try everything. Have a chance. Take a shot. Why not? Sunil, thank you, sir, for becoming a member. Appreciate you, my man. Rudiger injured against Liverpool. For the life of me, my man, I can't figure out or remember when we exactly play Real Madrid in the Champions League, but I think he's out till December. So if we play them before then, which I believe we do, then yeah, looks like he's out for that game. So more concerns for Xabi Alonso there, but again, that's not our problem, thankfully. Ordered the third kit with Isak on it, said Dan Woods. Nice. Do let me know when it comes if you like it, mate. Got to be Szoboszlai, Graf and Wirtz in the middle with Maka struggling and Curtis out. I agree, John Monroe. I think you're spot on, mate. That's the midfield I went with. Not trying to not get you to watch the preview that's coming out tomorrow, but yeah, that's where my head's at as well, John, and I don't think we'll be too far wrong with that. We play on the 4th of November. Yeah, well then it looks like Rudiger will be missing for that game. Just had a baby girl. Oh, congratulations, Slick Dick Schickson. Well, he just had a baby girl, so obviously the middle part of your name is working quite well. But congratulations, mate. Delighted for you, and give him a cuddle for us. Is Frimpong going to be back? He is indeed, yeah. It's JB. Frimpong is cleared and fit. Now, I don't think he starts the game personally. I think you'll see Bradley start and Frimpong get some minutes at the end and probably then get the nod in the game against Atletico Madrid on Wednesday. Joseph, how are we, dude? Always lovely to see you win. Always appreciate your support, sir. Said, personally, I like a diversity of styles and tactical philosophies. It's boring when everybody plays like Pep. Oh yeah, look, you got to play to your own strengths as well, Joseph. You know, if you go and play an expansive game against a team like Liverpool with the attacking talent we have, we're probably going to pull you apart. You want to keep it tight. You want to try and get something from set pieces and then maybe grow into the game and build confidence. So, yeah, you're right. But historically, you know, our Achilles heel has probably been a low block. So if we can start to unpick that low block, happy days. And look, we should be able to. That's what the likes of Florian Wirtz was brought in for. Ugo Ekitike. You've got young Rio and Gamoa on the bench as well. A bit more direct if we need that. So, yeah, it's interesting, but it's Burnley. It's just really hard to get excited about a game against Burnley, isn't it? What if it's still Szoboszlai at right back? It could be, but again, look to the midfield, right? So we know there's no Curtis Jones. He's ruled out. So that's one option gone in midfield for the manager. If he was to put Szoboszlai at right back, which, again, from a playing perspective, no problem with, but you're limiting yourself in the middle then. You're probably forcing McAllister to play a game where he's probably not ready or fit enough to play the whole game. So I think the likelihood is we'll see Bradley at right back, Szoboszlai, Wirtz and Gravenberch in the middle, and then Maka to get some minutes at the end. I really don't like the way Scaloni used him in that game late on the Tuesday night. A dead rubber and giving him 90 minutes when he'd openly said himself that Maka wasn't 100% fit. So still a little bit salty about that, if I'm being honest. What's your thoughts on Coote and his latest, shall we say, indiscretions? I'm not surprised, Summerpool, mate. I'm not surprised. That you always wonder with these things, don't you? Is there more to it? And what really annoyed me was the Sky almost PR campaign to bring him on, do that interview with him, you know, let him open up and talk about his side of it. And of course, he's perfectly entitled to give his perspective on something, but to have those charges hanging in the background and probably knowing that they were coming, you just wonder, like, why would you put yourself back into the limelight if you had any indication that maybe something like this was coming down the road? It's tough because it's a disgusting charge, but it is just that, a charge at the minute. He has been charged with it. He has denied it. And he, like everybody else, has the right to go through due process and the legal system. But I don't want him involved in football again because I don't think he's a fit and proper person to be involved in football again. So, you know, like anybody else, I just don't think he's coming back into the game. And look, there's a lot I'd like to say on it, but of course you want to make sure that you're respectful of the legal process. But I wasn't surprised to see a charge coming along the way afterwards. John Monroe said, Rio will get a new contract again next year. Just need him to continue doing what he's doing when given a chance. I agree. You know, he'll get this contract, and like you've said, he'll play his way into a much bigger money contract soon enough. I do appreciate what Liverpool do, though, in trying to keep young lads' feet on the ground. His first pro contract is going to be roughly 50 grand a year, which, you know, any 18-year-old or 17-year-old kid in the world would love to be walking into a 50 grand a year job. But in professional footballer terms, yeah, it's certainly on the lower side. So I don't think he'll be on that contract too long if he keeps banging in goals or winners like he did. So what games have we got tomorrow? Mark said Arsenal Forest at 12:30. That'll be an interesting one. Bournemouth Brighton, Palace Sunderland, Everton Villa, Fulham Leeds, Newcastle Wolves, and then Brentford Chelsea at 8 as well. West Ham Spurs at 5:30. Did you see that West Ham have banned half and half scarves for the game against Spurs? They said anybody in the stadium with them will be ejected, which is an interesting one. I don't know if they're going to carry that on forward or if it's just because it's a London derby against Spurs. But, you know, where do we stand on the half and half scarves thing? Because I was discussing this with my wife last night, and we were thinking about who the market is for a half and half scarf. And I was watching back pages on Sky as well, and they were talking, I think it was Charlotte Dunkirk and John Cross of the Mirror, I believe. And there is a place for them to some extent, but it isn't for the match-going die-hard fan. Like, for me, let me just give you an example. The only time, as a Liverpool fan, I would say there should be any consideration given to a half and half scarf would be when we played Dortmund and you had the whole Jurgen Klopp connection, the whole you'll never walk alone connection. Something like that, maybe. Liverpool Celtic, something like that, maybe. But another Premier League team as an example, nah, fuck right off with that stuff. And look, I understand maybe people coming for a game for the first time might want it as a memento, you know, to say this was the particular game I went to see. But it's a weird mental thing to see a half and half scarf. So it'd be a no from me, except in very, very, very exceptional circumstances. Like, I'd be a liar if I said I wouldn't have considered a half and half scarf when we played Dortmund because of the affection that we all have for the club, the You'll Never Walk Alone thing, the Jurgen connection. So there are a few little things that I'd say, okay, maybe. Harry said, I buy half and half scarves to remember the games I've been to. I understand that, and that is certainly one of the markets for it, mate. I'd buy a programme, personally, rather than the half and half scarf. But, yeah, it was an interesting conversation last night because, as I said, West Ham are banning them from this game. Do you know anything about the young defender we brought from City? That he's going into the 16s and 18s, Scott. That's all I really know, mate, at this moment. I think it's the second player we've brought in from Manchester City's academy in recent months. Mohammed, how are we, sir? Said, hey, Craig, I'm worried about Rio. I wonder why didn't get a massive contract with a massive release clause. Because it's club policy. I wouldn't worry about it. The club are not wanting to give him too much too soon. And he will have a better contract. I'd be absolutely dumbstruck if he hasn't got a better contract by the end of this season. Which feels weird, I know. Because you're giving him a contract now, and you know he's going to need a better one soon. But it's the club's policy, and Rio seemingly happy to sign it. And look, we just want him to get minutes, and the more minutes he gets on the pitch, I think the more numbers will be on that contract eventually. But I wouldn't worry about it, mate. He's a red through and through. Liverpool moved heaven and earth to bring him to the club, and we already know what he can do. We seen that big moment he had against Newcastle. So I wouldn't worry about it, but I totally understand your point, where you're coming from. I got one from the Merseyside derby, a 96-minute winner. Yeah, no, that's just no on every level, Harry, mate. That's just no. A Liverpool Everton half and half scarf. Nah, mate, come on. That's like no. That's like a Liverpool and United one. Yeah. Look, I get it. Like I said, Harry, I understand it as a game memento, but no, not for me. Rio was a United fan growing up. Is that why he was pictured in Liverpool kits growing up? I can find the image if you want and show you, but yeah, from my understanding, not the case. But either way, everyone always thinks everyone that comes to Liverpool is a United fan, by the way. The amount of players we've signed over the years that people go, oh, they were a United fan growing up. I've seen images of them in Liverpool shirts, so I don't know. Sean said half and half scarves are okay to bring home as a memory of a game, but there's no place in terraces. Let's ask the question. So I'm going to keep it a simple one, so bear with me. Oh, one sec. Right, so is there any place in football for a half and half scarf? And I think that's the fairest way to ask it because, like we've said, I think we all agree if we're on a terrace or we're in the cup, you're not wearing one. But is there a market? Is there a place? Is there a justification to keep half and half scarves out there? Craig, what's this about the double move? Your title says it's about Wharton and Gay potentially in January. We'll recover it in a while, my man. But let me just flow through a few of these. Andy Partridge said the only time I would have considered it would have been Liverpool Everton FA Cup after Hillsborough, but as a memento only. Yeah, I understand that. That's again, I wouldn't do it myself, but I do understand a unity idea behind it. Absolutely. One city, one love. I do get that, but still wouldn't be me, to be honest. Tony said no to half and half scarves. They just take up room in your cupboard. Yeah. I have a few interesting Liverpool scarves. I've got a one with the Irish flag at the end of it, but yeah, I just can't see a world outside of maybe Celtic or Dortmund that I would ever consider a half and half scarf personally. In what order, Kaylin said, would you rank our new kits from best to worst? Ooh, good question, Kaylin. Thank you, dude. You know what, Kaylin? If you asked me this question, bro, 2 weeks ago, I'm going to give you a different answer. But now, I'm probably going to go red kit, green kit, cream kit. And if you asked me 2 weeks ago, I would 100% said green kit, red kit, white kit, or cream kit. But the home kit, the more I've seen it, and I don't know if it's the gold badge really setting it off or the fact that we've seen it now on Isak and Verts, but yeah, I think I'm going to go with the home kit as my favourite one. I love the green one, but yeah, I think the home one. So I'm going to go red, green, and then the away one. But let me know if you agree or disagree with that. Paul said, hope you had a good birthday, 21 again. You know it, mate. You know it. Forever 21 here. And I did, thank you, mate. It was a nice chilled day, which I like at my age. Sunil said, best right back to play for Liverpool in your opinion? Oh, I'm probably going to be biased and go for Finnan. Loved Rob Jones, but Trent was obviously good. Won a lot with Trent, but probably going to say Steve Finnan. I think he was just super consistent, and I think it was a bargain as well bringing him in from Fulham. So I'm probably going to say Finnan. But good question, and again, would love to know other answers. There's probably a few like Nickel who I'm not old enough to remember really, but I'm going to go Finnan. Are you now 39.4? No, 39.5, Keen. I'm 44 now. Getting old. John said a half and half scarf is not an official item. Well, to be fair, a lot of the scarves and stuff that would be sold outside of grounds wouldn't be official ones. But again, I don't like them personally, John. Some people saying Phil Neal. I never got to see Phil Neal, so for me, I only answer questions that for players I've seen. So yeah, those of you who were lucky enough to see Nickel and Phil Neal, I've no doubt you're probably right because they were incredible servants for the football club. Kyle said, asking other American fans that bought a new jersey, did you have a customs charge added to your purchase shipping? Feel robbed as it was hit with a $90 fee, order via UPS. Ouch. So, after Brexit, there's been a big hassle here in Ireland getting stuff in. But I have to say, the stuff I've ordered from Liverpool, because there's an Irish version of the app, I haven't been hit with any imports from the Liverpool stuff. And to be fair, Fanatics, I bought a couple of things off Fanatics last week and they arrived and I didn't get hit with import taxes on them. But friends have sent me stuff from America or stuff from the UK and I've been hit with import taxes on a lot of that stuff. So, yeah, I get where you're coming from. But for me personally, I haven't got one from Liverpool with the orders. But like I said, I'm not in the States. Sharkovic said, "I hate him, I hate him, but for it's Trent." I can understand that, but I guess it depends how you look at the right back position, right? Trent was a very unique right back, but was he the best defensive right back we've had? Absolutely not. But was he the best offensive right back? Yeah, most likely. Napu, or excuse me, Napupu said, I bought $27 baby onesie from the Liverpool store and had to pay $40. Jeez. That's shocking, dude. Bringing your 27 quid item to $67. That's, Jesus. That's really hitting you in the pocket, isn't it? That's nuts. Even somebody was saying to me in Canada that they were struggling to get the Gold Premier League badge and it was looking about $47. Wow. It's yeah, wow. I wouldn't be ordering anything if I was paying that. You know, that's definitely gonna push you into non-original stuff, isn't it? If you're having to pay that level of import tax on it. I think Klein and Johnson were both good players, but injuries and the emergence of Trent done them no favors. I wouldn't put them in the top five, to be honest. Like Glenn Johnson was a good player, no denying that. But I wouldn't have him right up there at the top of my list personally. Biggie Mall said Rob Jones could have been one of our greatest. Such a shame. Yep, that's why I made sure to mention him, mate, when I was talking about it, because Rob Jones had all the tools to be huge, but injuries, of course, curtailed him. Right, I want to talk about Tyler Morton for a quick second because Squawka put out an interesting stat that said no player in Europe's top five leagues has made more penalty area entries with 29 or made more accurate crosses than Tyler Morton so far this season, which is fair play. Settling in very well over in France with Lyon and seemingly loved by the Lyon fans as well. They got a bargain with the price they paid for him. Sharkovic said, my reason is I'm 21 and I started watching Liverpool during 11-12. Totally understand that then, mate. You know, you have a very limited sample size if you're watching since that time. So yeah, Trent probably is the answer there. Right, I want to talk to you about something that Rafael Benitez said, which I find very, very interesting. So he was doing an interview with Shoot for Love, and he was asked to choose between Cristiano Ronaldo and Mohamed Salah, and he picked Salah. Let me tell you what he said. He said, explaining his choice, he said, Ronaldo is perhaps the best finisher, but Mohamed Salah is more complete. So what do we think on that one? Do you think the manager or former manager, Rafa's got that one right? Cristiano Ronaldo, Mohamed Salah? Asked which one he'd go for, and Rafa went on the side of Mohamed Salah. And he has, of course, coached Cristiano Ronaldo at Real Madrid, so an interesting one there from Rafael Benitez and glowing praise, of course, from Mohamed Salah. Dave said, I'd pick prime Ronaldo over Salah. How many minutes will Isak get on Sunday? Said Ibrahim. I'd guess, dude, 15, 20. I wouldn't expect much more than that, to be honest. But again, we're taking it as a given that he will play, and hopefully he does, but I guess it might depend on how the game's going as well. I think Rafa is right. Salah is a creator, said Nikhil. Ronaldo is better, said LFC Drew. I trust Rafa's judgment, said Stewart. Fred, how are you, my man? Nice to see you in again. Said, hey Craig, I hope you're good. My opinion, I think we should not underestimate Burnley, even if we look good, because, football games can be tricky. City paid a higher price and hope for the best. Look, what has me more concerned isn't really the opposition. It's historically we've not been great coming back after the September international break. So I'm not really sure what performance to expect, but we didn't really have great performances all around in the first 3 games and we still managed to win them all. So if we're all sitting here on Sunday evening talking about a win, no matter how it comes about, I'll be happy. 4 from 4 would be brilliant. Stick Ain't said, I'm a UPS driver in the States. The tariff charges are insane. I really just feel sorry for people who have to pay them because, you're trying to buy something in good faith from the club, let's say, and you want to support Liverpool, so you want to buy from the official Liverpool outlets, and, it's not Liverpool's problem or fault, but it's certainly, it would add a lot onto your purchase price, wouldn't it? And, that type of thing is only going to drive people towards other avenues or other types of shorts or t-shirts or... So I was looking at something the other day I couldn't believe. A pair of training shorts from the Liverpool training range, €70, €70 for a pair of training shorts. It's ridiculous. Some of the price, to be fair, the Adidas stuff hasn't been as bad as I was expecting, but when you see some of the prices, like 70 quid for a pair of shorts, that's nuts. Now off to deliver some milk. Yes, milkmen are still a thing, said Stephen. Has anybody ever bought the kit shorts? Not me, Nick, no. I've got, obviously, my youngster, when he was younger, I got him the kit because it all came together, but no, I'd never pay that level of money for a pair of shorts. It's crazy. Robert, how are we, sir? And thank you very much for your super chat and question. What's your first Liverpool memory? My first one? Oh, God, what's my first Liverpool memory? I can't remember. The first time I watched the Reds, remember watching the Reds, was the game that made me fall in love with the club, which was the defeat to Arsenal 2-0 at Anfield when they won the All First Division title. So that's certainly my earliest memory that I can have stand out and remember where I was for that game. So I'm probably going to go with that one. Future Parfum said, some athleisure brands have driven up the price of shorts. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm full on Temu, mate, for a lot of my shorts. I'm not gonna lie about it. Get yourself a nice pair off Temu for like 12 or 15 quid. Didn't you say you were rooting for the Packers? I did indeed, yes, and I watched the game last night. Jordan Love coming out hot, and 2 out of 2, so happy with that one. But you're right, absolutely. Packers are where I'm pushing my chips into, so yeah, good start. Paro said, I get the Ronaldo-Salah comparison, but come on, if we're being honest with ourselves, I don't think Salah or Ronaldo is a question. Ronaldo and Messi are just two you can't compare to anybody else. I think you're right, mate, in what you've said. I agree. I think the answer is Ronaldo in that question. But I do think that there are comparisons that are worth talking about for Salah, and one of those is Thierry Henry. That's a comparison that I think is a far closer one. And one, if you look at the numbers behind it, Salah actually edges now. So that's the conversation that I think, because, obviously Arsenal fans think Thierry Henry walks on water and is a god, and I totally understand that. But if you look at the numbers, Salah's right up there. Ekatike to score a brace and Szoboszlai to assist. Vert scores and a 3-0 win for Liverpool, said Dave. I'll take that, Dave. Sign me up for a 3-0 win. What about Salah and Hazard? That's not even close. In my mind, that's you're getting into insulting territory for Mo, and I don't mean you, Nathan. Like, look at the numbers. Eden Hazard, if I'm not mistaken, twice during his career has gone a calendar year without scoring. Mohamed Salah, if he did that, can you imagine the fume he'd be getting and the headline writers and all the grief he'd be getting? It's not even close. You know, Eden Hazard on his day, at his very best, was unplayable and magic. But if you're talking about comparing them, it's no contest. It's Mohamed Salah every day of the week. Consistency, level of performance, fitness, just everything. I'm very, very emotional about that particular one because Chelsea fans are delusional about it. Yes, Hazard was brilliant when he was on his game, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't often enough. And Mohamed Salah has just shown such consistency of performance, it has to be him. John said, first memory, promotion to the First Division and the FA Cup. So now that we're thinking about it, John, I don't know what year this was, but I have a memory of that mad 4-4 game in the FA Cup at Liverpool and Everton. I have a vague recollection of being a kid in my parents' living room in the first house we lived in, and I have a recollection of that game in the background. I want to say it was a replay, but I can't remember the year of it. Do you reckon Isak plays and scores? He won't start, Bill. 100% won't start, but there's a chance he comes off the bench, definitely. And will he score? Well, hope so. But yeah, there's no way he's starting the game of the weekend. Dean Garnett said, Salah for me is the best we've seen in the Premier League. Well, he has to be right up there. Now, let's be fair about this. We have seen some incredible players in the Premier League over the years since its inception in 1992. Some really, really incredible footballers. But you'd have to have Salah in the conversation. There's no doubt about that in my mind. You know, longevity and just sheer numbers on what he's done. It's so, so impressive. The 4-4 was the game before Dalglish resigned. So yeah, I've got a recollection of that game, David, but not that I'd sat there and watched it all. I just remember seeing it I just have a little memory in my head, just seeing it on the TV, and the highlights of it, I think, on the news or something. Monkstown Glass, how are we, sir? Appreciate the question in the super chat, sir. Thank you very much. Said Craig, who is your best player so far this season? It's Szoboszlai for me so far. You know, if I had to pick it's only a 3-game sample size, but for me, dude, I'd say Dominic Szoboszlai has been our best performer or our most consistent one so far, which is testament to him. Somebody asked me a question yesterday about Spotify and why a couple of days hadn't gone up. Connor gave me the answer to that today. So there was a processing problem on YouTube for live streams to convert into video on demand. So Connor wasn't able to put them up because of that. It's since been rectified, and moving forward, they'll all be back on Spotify as normal. So just did a bit of digging on that one for you, like I promised I would, and Connor let me know that it was a YouTube issue with the processing, so he couldn't grab it and put it across. John said, me 60s, you 1890s. Yeah, definitely. It was late 80s for me when I started really watching Liverpool. I was born in 81, so yeah, it was late 80s for me. Thoughts on Grealish getting Player of the Month? I don't really know what to think of it. He's had a good impact at Everton. I mean, fair is fair, he has. But does he deserve Player of the Month? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's a hard one because, of course, it's half a month, isn't it, really? So, not a huge sample size. But then again, Arna won Manager of the Month, so we'll take that. And congratulations to Arna Slot on that, the August Premier League Manager of the Month. Right, where we are. So, is there a place in football for half and half scarves? That's the poll that we have running at the minute. If you can, do vote on it for me. Blue Blur, nice to see you in, bro. Ugo Ekitike has been our standout signing so far of the season, said Jason Sanders Fox. He's certainly been very quick to acclimatise, mate. I'll give you that one. And I've liked the different styles of goals he scored. I love the hold-up play. I like a lot about Ugo Ekitike, and it's been a very, very, very good start to his Liverpool career. No argument with you on that one. Manager of the month is usually a curse. Only if you believe it to be a curse, you know? I'm one of these people that I only believe in these type of things if it's in our favour. If it's against it, I'll talk myself and tell myself it's nonsense. Mark said, my early-ish memory was certain Liverpool legend making his debut, Steven Gerrard. Don't know if y'all remember him. Yeah, he's all right, that Gerrard lad, wasn't he? He wasn't too bad. So, here's an interesting bit of comment. Pep Guardiola, speaking on where Haaland ranks to Alexander Isak, had this to say. A little bit above, Isak is an exceptional player. You asked me about Ireland, and he is top. Isak must be a top player because of what they paid. He loves throwing that around now, doesn't he, El Pepinald? Another one would say Mbappe, Messi, Cristiano. I wouldn't change Erling for anybody. I know him. I like him. And look, I expect the manager of Erling Haaland to say nothing less. Same way I would expect our manager to say Isak. But I love that we're having this conversation already. I love that the football world already wants to start comparing Isak to Haaland because, you know, he's now a Liverpool player. So may the battle commence. Craig, are you Craiging it right now? I don't know what that means. It's nice to see Grealish hitting the ground running after being put on the bench for 3 years at Manchester City. Makes me think he wasn't a Pep signing, but rather a front office signing. It was a weird signing because it was the way Grealish plays is very stop-start. He draws a lot of fouls, and it wasn't really conducive to the way Pep Guardiola at Manchester City passed the ball around, moved the ball. I never understood that signing for them. It definitely did feel like more of a brand signing than we have a distinctive way we want to play with him in it. And they massively overpaid for him as well. Massively. Does anyone really doubt Isak? No, not for me, mate. No, just don't know what to expect in the early stages with Isak, you know. Um, we talked yesterday about what's a realistic amount goals and assists wise to expect in his first year, and even at that, I'm not really sure. But I tell you what, we're a better team with Isak in it, and we're a better squad with Isak in it. So, from that regard, I'm a very, very, very happy Liverpool fan. You know, if you said to me at the start of the window we'd be getting an Ugo Ekitike and Isak, I probably wouldn't have believed you, to be honest. Stargirl said, thoughts on the Chelsea charges, at least they owned up, unlike City. Yeah, I covered this a little bit yesterday in kind of similar vein to what you've said. I always have a lot of time for anybody who puts their hands up and admits it, and they self-reported. So this isn't like Blueco came in and pulled the wool over everybody's eyes and tried to get away with it. They bought the club, and during their due diligence, they noticed the discrepancy and they self-reported to the Premier League. That has to count for something. It has to. So, you know, they're probably going to get a fine by the looks of it. And like you said, the contrast of that and Manchester City, who are always, we did nothing wrong, we did nothing wrong. So, yeah, I would have a lot more sympathy in that regard for Chelsea. Although, you know, there are still questions to be asked there about those third-party ownership things and a few of the deals over the years. I think one of the ones was including Hazard, Willian, I can't remember the other deal that they were looking into. Same as Amarim and Big Ange, they're their way or no way. That's how it's worked for them, said John Monroe. It's mad seeing Big Ange go into Nottingham Forest. Like, it's such a change from Nuno and the way that he played. So I'm going to be an interested viewer to see how Ange gets on there with Forest. Darwizzy said, Craig, I was watching the game against Arsenal and I was like, in my head, imagine Jota was there because we all know he would have scored. Look, it's going to be there's going to be many of those moments this year where we all think, you know, Diogo could have done something here, or maybe just a moment that reminds us again that we lost him and that he's no longer with us. So yeah, it's going to pull on the heartstrings quite a bit this season and going forward. But I tell you what, I am very happy that we had Szoboszlai to strike that free kick and get that win, because that is a great little bit of moral victory, I guess, to get over Arsenal to start there, to have 3 wins from 3. I'll take that. And beating Arsenal when the game looked like it was drifting to a 0-0 draw. Very, very happy with that to go into the international break. Craig, what do you think of, you said Judas, Trent, coming back to Anfield to face Liverpool? Do you think he'll start or be as a sub? I think he'll be a sub because I'm going to say this bluntly. If he starts, it will get in his head, and we will. And I don't mean anybody saying that to him or booing him, but he'll know, and it will be in his head, and it will affect him. And I'd be absolutely astonished if Carvajal is fit if he doesn't start that game. Yeah, I'm very, very adamant on that one. So I think he'll be on the bench, or maybe have a bug or a little mysterious knock ahead of it. Still feels sad not having Trent here. I don't know if sad is the word I'd use. Unusual, definitely. You know, we've become accustomed to seeing Trent in Liverpool squads over the years. So I don't know if I'd use the word sad, but certainly different, and still taking some getting used to, because it was one of the positions on the pitch where you just knew automatically who was going to play there if they were fit. And now we've obviously got Frimpong and we've got Bradley, and may the best man win in that battle. But it is what it is. We didn't make that decision for Trent. So, Logan, I'm going to say this once, and I mean this politely. Call anybody in my chat an idiot again, and you're gone. You might not agree with somebody's opinion on Trent and what they think of him, and I wouldn't use the word Judas either. But it's also, I think, a bit too far to go and say he gave his whole life to Liverpool Football Club, because that's kind of bullshit as well. Trent did what he wanted to do and what suited Trent, and that's fine. It's his life. But be more respectful to people in my chat, or you won't be here. Nobody called you an idiot, so coming in hot calling somebody else an idiot, not really the way we want things to go. Canade may have a bug or injury. Yeah, look, similar thing I would say there. I wouldn't. Thank you, Logan. Appreciate your apology there, mate. I wouldn't be playing Canade in the game either. In all honesty, I wouldn't. But I'm interested to see when we start to see Leone, because I'm very excited by that kid and getting to see him. I know we're going to see him against Southampton, but wouldn't mind seeing him get a few minutes before there if possible. Robert said, my first memory is Torres putting Vidic on his arse. Oh, yes. What an introduction that was, dude. I remember watching that, just that powerful run left side of the penalty area from Torres. I think, if I'm not mistaken, sorry, I'm thinking of his first game. My apologies. His first game was against Chelsea, I think he scored. Was it Carvalho or somebody putting his arse? But yeah, the one you're talking about, he used to bully Vidic. Absolutely bullied him. And there weren't many that could do that to Nemanja Vidic, but yeah, he used to have Fernando Torres nightmares. Stargirl said, I wasn't happy with the way Trent left. He's getting battered in the media here and Spain. There's two ways, I guess, to look at that. One, you'd have to say it takes a strong-willed person to back yourself in that position to go and do it. I don't like what Trent did, same as yourself. I wish he stayed. I wish he was still a Liverpool player, and I wish none of this happened. But it speaks to the mentality as well, because you don't go over there, because he's going in to try and displace an actual legend at that club in Carvajal. So it either has somebody with tremendous balls to do that, or delusion. Which one it is, I guess, Father Time will tell us over the course of history. But it was a brave decision for him, but I don't feel it was the right decision. Like I said, though, it is his life and his career. What's your favourite Mohamed Salah goal? So, there's a couple. One against Manchester City that he scored. I think it was a nighttime game. But ironically, he scored a goal against Spurs, and we ended up drawing the game because Spurs got a dodgy late penalty or something. But he scored a goal against Spurs in the penalty area where he just slalomed in and out through players and just stuck at top bins, and I just thought, holy shit, wow. So that's right up there for me. Fred. Oh, no, that was a different one. Sorry. It was David. Said, I think Vidic got sent off 2 games in a row against Fernando, if I'm not wrong. He shit the bed every time he played him. Fernando Torres was in that lad's head. And as I said, there weren't many that did it because Vidic was an absolutely top-notch defender. But yeah, Fernando Torres was in his head. Dan said, with Trent, it'll always be the way he left. So, on the Trent thing, and again, I don't want to keep banging on about it, but would money have helped in your mind? So if Trent went to Madrid for 70 million quid, would that have helped? Was it the fact that he went for free? Was it the fact that maybe you felt we were strung along by him? Or was it the no fee? Because for me, the no fee was a big part of it. Because you're not leaving your boyhood club with at least a big pot of money to go out there and bring in a replacement. You're leaving in a way that feels a little bit, well, very self-serving. But again, within his rights, because he seed out his contract. I think the money would have helped with me anyway if Liverpool had gotten a big transfer fee for him. Because when you go somewhere like that, you know Madrid only want him because he's free. You know, they don't want to pay a big transfer fee for him. And that kind of rubbed the salt in a little bit for me as well. Lime said running the contract down. The fact he left for free pissed me off the most, said Nathan. Money would help, said Tajoke. I think it was the stringing along that was nastiest, said Deadpan. Yep, I don't like this whole pretense of hadn't made his mind up stuff. That was like, you know, I would have appreciated if he said, I've made a decision, I want to go in another direction. I think it would have helped us over the course of the year. Maybe it would have given him a chance to maybe enjoy his last few months a bit more. But you know what? Maybe I'm a big softie, but I did appreciate that he had a nice goodbye at that last time when he was there and he got to stand in front of the cop. You know, because ultimately we're all human beings here and it would have been an emotional decision for him, no matter what we all think and how angry we are about it. So it was nice that he got that goodbye. Yeah, I think it was nice. Chris Shaw said it was the lack of honesty for me. Made a lot of moments with cryptic celebrations. The message of silence was being respectful was rubbish of the highest order. Stefan said it's not about Trent leaving. It's about not being honest, that his mind was already made up. Yep. I always say I don't know who advises some of these guys with their PR, because honesty is always the best way forward in these things. If you're upfront with a fan base, they'll appreciate that. They mightn't agree with you, but they'll always appreciate it. And I agree. Having haven't made up my mind, you know, nothing set in stone nonsense, it just didn't sit right with me. And I very much am with you on that one. John Monroe said that's it in my opinion. Just be honest with the fans. It's not the money. It's stringing along after what he said previously. Biggie Mal said, Craig, you're mellowing in your old age. Yeah, I'm trying to be a bit less angry. I'm trying to save my anger for the times where it's probably needed, which is usually referees, to be fair. Sunil said, it's crazy how Salah has surpassed Henry statistically. You've seen Henry in the flesh, Craig. He was just something else. Premier League goal for me on the eye. Oh, look, I've said before, there are a couple of players I would have loved Liverpool to have gotten at some stages of their careers, and Thierry Henry was one of them. You know, the handball cheating, World Cup robbing place, SOB that he is from an Irish perspective, one hell of a footballer. You know, him and David Silva were 2 players I would have loved to have seen in a Liverpool shirt. And like you said, a Premier League great, no doubt about that. I hope that Canade is doing this to us in a special moment for the club. Or I hate that Canade, is doing this to us in a special moment for the club. Again, for me, I just want honesty. If Canade wants to go to Madrid, like I said, players have different expectations and wants in their careers. And if, you know, the idea of trialing and being in different leagues appeals to a player, no problem with that either. But again, if your mind's made up, you know, I think everybody would appreciate you saying, yeah, my mind's made up, because uncertainty just means that every per performance it's going to be talked about, and every column that's written is going to be talked about. And at least if Liverpool fans know that we're going to lose him at the end of the season, then we don't really have to pay much attention to what's written in the media about where he's going to go, because we already know he's not going to be here. And that would go a long way with me. But like I said, each to their own on it. Madeni said the dishonesty, hand gestures after scoring, not minding what happened to Coutinho and what Klopp said to Coutinho at the time, and many other things. Yeah, I'll never understand this. This thing is just... It just feels like it's a little homage to Bellingham, who did the same thing and then left Dortmund. So yeah, that I've never really been able to get my head around what he was at with that. Up and up. So, we did get a bit of information actually from Paul Joyce around the transfer fee for Isak and how it will be paid. So he said Alexander Isak's transfer fee of £125 million will be paid in instalments over 4 years, meaning the total fee paid for him and Florian Wirtz this summer, so the money Liverpool outlaid, was £51.25 million. So again, that Isak fee going to be paid over 4 years or 4 installments, so not all up front in one go. So that is a nice little bit of insight there from Paul Joyce. And as we mentioned at the start of the stream, we mentioned again, congratulations to Arne Slot, the first Premier League manager of the month for the new season. Well done. And also, in his press conference today, he was asked about the thing that pleased him the most. And he said, the thing that pleases me the most is getting the deal with Alex over the line. And I don't know if you guys have seen the still image of Alexander Isak looking at Virgil van Dijk. I want somebody to look at me that way, the way he was looking at Virgil. It was very much a starstruck look. Craig, who's the best referee ever? Oh, it's definitely Jan. It's definitely the one you've suggested there, Pierluigi Collina. How good would it be to have seen him ref in the Prem? If you could go into a lab and create an army of Pierluigi Collinas to referee around the world, I think football would be all the better for it, because certainly I don't really have many bad memories of Pierluigi Collina refereeing any games of football. Players always respected him. And I think he earned that respect through his own performances and straight-laced attitude to the way that he ref. But without a doubt, best referee of my lifetime that I can remember. Craig, Tomiyasu was a free agent. Would you take him at Liverpool now? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't take him because I don't think he's good enough to be at Liverpool. So I'd rather give minutes to Leone. So, good question, Nick. Does anybody like VAR? It can be annoying at times. So, I'm going to tell you my take on this, Nick. When VAR was being spoken about, I wanted it. I was definitely somebody who was on the side of bringing in VAR. But having had VAR for a few years now, if I had the choice to flick a switch and get rid of it tomorrow, would I do it? To some extent. I would keep it for certain things. But I don't think in its current guise it's good enough. I don't, because what it was supposed to do was remove some of the debate. And that's how it was pitched to us as fans, right? This will remove the debate with you and your mates down the pub. It doesn't do that. All it's added is an increased sense of injustice if you feel a decision's gone against you. You look at it and you think, are they seeing what I'm seeing? And how are these professional assistants coming to this conclusion? And you also have to accept, I guess, the football will always have subjective decisions in it. You know, everything isn't black and white. You look at Hawkeye in tennis or in cricket, these are pretty much factual things. Something's in, something's out, something's going to hit the wicket or it isn't going to hit the wicket. But with football, there's a lot of subjectivity in it. So I don't like VAR for that. I would like to see things like the ability to tell when the ball's gone out of play on a goal line, all the way across the pitch, you know, right from corner flag to corner flag. And in fact, the entire boundary of the pitch, I'd love to have a GPS system where we know if the ball's out of play or not. On top of that, I'd get rid of it tomorrow. I would. You know, I'd get rid of it tomorrow if I had a chance. But let's ask that, actually. Let's ask that as the next poll. So we only need 19 more votes on the half and half scarf. So if you can, let's get up to 1,000 votes. We just need 19 people to click, and then we can move on to the VAR vote, because I am really intrigued to see how you guys feel about the idea of VAR. Virginia said Isak looked like a kid in a candy shop in training today. He did. He looked great, and it was lovely seeing. I went through all the images today that the club posted up, and it was just great seeing him there. He looked so happy to be there, and I'm sure he's just happy to be in and around teammates again, and training and preparing for life at Liverpool. Right, so we've had the 1,000 votes, and 58% of you guys think there is no place in football for half and half scarves. 42% think otherwise. Right, let's go with the VAR question. Should we keep VAR? So, should we keep VAR in football? I think keeping it to a yes or no answer is the easiest way. So, should we keep VAR in football as it is right now? Let us know on that one, yes or no. I gotta say, I didn't think I'd ever say this, but I'm in the get rid of it camp, and because it hasn't done what I expected it to do. It's even more egregious now. Like, let's talk about some handballs that weren't given. The handball red card that wasn't given in one of our recent games on the halfway line. You can show me that a million times, and I'm still not going to understand how it wasn't a handball. I'm never going to understand that. And I don't know how anybody in their right mind looking at it can do that. So for me, I can understand a referee making a human mistake, seeing something, getting it wrong. That's human nature. But if you have multiple video angles of something and you still feel you've been shafted, that's tough. That's tough to put to bed and shrug your shoulders at, because we all understand humans make mistakes. The referee sees something like that, blink of an eye stuff. But when you've got cameras and you're still not getting what you think is a very clear decision, that's infuriating. Craig, you need a qualifier for goal line technology and automatic offsides. Not for the goal line technology, because that's not part of the VAR system. That was there previously, so that's a separate thing altogether. And I love goal line technology. That is the one new addition to football that I think almost wholeheartedly we'd all say has been a success. I know there's been a rare few occasions where there's been too many people on the line or cameras have been blocked or something, but ultimately, when everybody looks at the ref looks at his watch. You don't get arguments. If the ref points, it's a goal, it's a goal. If it's not, it's not. That's been a brilliant addition to football. It has. Even though it broke our hearts a few times with some of the close calls, particularly against Manchester City. But yeah, that's one part I think has been a great addition, the goal line technology. Stargirl said, you compare Canade to Gomez. Who would you love to stay till the end? I hope this is Gomez's year. I hope to see him become a fantastic centre-back without injury. So the kindest thing I can say about Joe Gomez is I'm happy whenever he's in the team. I have preferences of where I'd like him to play, but a fit and healthy and confident Joe Gomez is as good a centre-back as you're going to get. And he was a big part of our title-winning campaign, if my memory is right. So, yeah, Joe Gomez, I have no issues with. The only issue, like you said, Stargirl, has been unfortunately those injuries, but as a quality defender, if he can stay fit this season, it'll certainly go a long way to helping us win silverware. Would you take João Neves from PSG? It wouldn't be my choice of PSG midfielders. I'd probably rather Vitinha, but it's mad. Like, when you think back, to think Vitinha at one point couldn't really break into the Wolves team or didn't have a great run in the Wolves team. To see that same player now at Paris Saint-Germain winning the Champions League and being a fantastic player. Yeah, the balance they have in that midfield is really good. A lot of work rate, a lot of technical ability, and a lot of bite. Inferno Gaming said, I love how Chelsea is immediately being charged and the court still can't have ruling on City. So everything you've said there is pretty much wrong, without being rude. So this thing is going on with Chelsea since Blue Coat took over, and they self-reported it, I think, 2 years ago, and they admitted fault. That's the huge aspect here. This wasn't dragged out. They self-reported it, they admitted fault, and it was nothing to do with the current owners. So I have a lot more sympathy and certainly it saved a lot of hardship and, I guess, hassle for the Premier League. So yeah, I don't think they're comparable things, because what Manchester City are doing is denying everything, any wrongdoing, making it difficult for the Premier League to get access to the information that they needed to, slow playing the whole thing. So yeah, very different cases. And again, one side put their hands up and said, yes, this was wrong, and the others are still denying it. Adrian said, I think VAR is theoretically a great idea, but not for the UK, where officials aren't challenged enough. We need more open dialogue. That's a good point. You know, I often think about it, Adrian. I think, is it a geographical thing in the UK? Like, is it that subconscious bias, perhaps? Or is the UK not big enough as a country to have referees from regions that could be potentially close, as an example? I just think we're going through a particularly poor era of referees in the Premier League. And I don't think I'm the only one that thinks that. I've even seen players come out this year and say a lot of them have lost faith with some of the VAR decisions. And we're early into the season. So the standard of officiating in the Prem just isn't good enough. Now, I'm not saying it's particularly better in any other leagues, but, you know, the Prem's the one I watch week in and week out, and I'm genuinely baffled at some of the decisions. Mark Bell said, get rid of the PGMOL. Yes, 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 forever yes. And stop this stupid show where Howard Webb comes on for a pat in the back. That show does my head in. What's the point of it? You know? I don't need Howard Webb to tell me that Michael Oliver shit the bed twice. Don't need him to tell me. Don't need him to tell me that Odegaard's handball should have been a penalty, but he didn't. Don't need him to tell me that his referee shit the bed. Don't need another apology. Where are the lessons that were learned from the Diaz situation and the two iffy red cards we got in that game? I've no faith in the PGMOL whatsoever. And I'm not calling them corrupt by any means, but I just don't think it's fit for purpose. And they seem to get away with everything. You know, it's just, oh, well, we apologise, move on. No. And then if we dare get uppity about it and challenge it, you've got the likes of Gary Neville crying to save referees and it's a hard job and we need to respect referees. Yes, but it's earned. Like I said the other day, we were all told, poor old David Coo, we've all been drunk and emotional, as Gary Neville said. Well, how's that going now? How's that support of that referee looking now? Now that the facts are out. Because everybody was quick to vilify fans yet again and say we have tinfoil hat theories, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, some people do. But other people just know a fucking wronging when they see one. And we shouldn't be afraid to call that out either. Because there are assholes in every walk of life. And this insistence that everybody that is involved in the refereeing side of the game is brilliant and amazing people just doing their best. Well, for the majority, yeah. But we also have to be able to say there's a wrong in here and it needs to be looked at. Alejandro said, Craig, I agree. It's respectable that Chelsea self-reported, but I'm still super against the way the ownership operates. Oh, look, like I said, I agree. That whole being able to sell hotels to yourself and stuff, I find it all sickening, mate. I do. But in life, I always have time for somebody who says, yes, we did something wrong. And, you know, fair cop, we did it. That to me goes a long way, because I'd love to see Manchester City do it, you know. So, but I get where you're coming from. I don't like the way Blue Co operates. I don't like this constant churning of players. It might be an effective business strategy to some extent, but how is selling a hotel to another one of your companies for PSR not giving you an advantage? Or how is it not sticking two fingers up at the rules? It just, you know, it feels almost laughable to say that that's legally allowed. Fred said, Craig, the VAR situation is very frustrating. Sometimes good, very good. Sometimes bad, very bad. Can't the PGMOL call on retired refs to be part of it? I would say you're better off training former players, whether they're lower level players or not, because how many times have you heard the phrase, a pro would know this challenge, or a pro would know that there was no bad intent meant in that? Like, who was the one that got sent off Or the goal got ruled out for the bit of skill recently, where he stood on the top of the ball, pulled it back over, and accidentally put his foot on, I think it was a Chelsea player's foot. That was a piss take. Like, that was an absolute disgrace that VAR even felt the need to get involved in that. How that is viewed as a foul, I don't know. It was one player making a very classy move, stepping over the ball, dragging it back, and accidentally trod on somebody. And the goal got ruled out for that. It's a piss take. Billy said, as fans, we just want to see a fair game, that's all. We don't want to hate the PGMOL. We want to watch a fair football game with competent refs. Yeah, we shouldn't notice them. We shouldn't know their names. That's another big gripe I have with all of this. It's almost created a cottage industry where referees are pseudo-celebrities. And I don't want to know their fucking names. I don't want to know anything about them. They should be out there doing their job to help the game function and flow, not be in the centre of attention. Ref watching shows like that just do my head in. What's the point of them? We know Dermot Gallagher's going to agree with the referee 99% of the time, even when others are there saying, come on, Dermot. Daniel said, I think VAR would work if people using it use their common sense and not try help out their mate. Clear and obvious mistakes, not run the game. Yeah, but again, what's clear and obvious? You know, that phrase in itself winds me up because there is no, what's the word I'm looking for? Formula for what's clear and obvious. It's still subjective. So, yeah, I just don't like it. I don't like refereeing at the moment in the Premier League. And I would dare to say if you took a poll of every fan base, that they would all have big concerns about officials. Pros don't know the rules, though. Well, that would be why you train them. You know, I don't think you're just going to go, right, grab a pro and stick them in the VAR hub. Obviously, they have to be trained, but they know what it's like to be out there on the pitch. I would rather train an ex-pro in the rules and laws of the game than try to talk to a referee who maybe has never played a game competitively. Maybe they have, by the way. I'm sure some of them have, but yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I'd rather train up a retired player, maybe even from a lower tier, who understands the game, who understands body movements, who understands the physiology of what they're trying to do in each individual moment, be it a challenge, be it a tug of the shirt, stuff like that. Coldman, you're so kind, dude. Thank you. Said, just popping in. Love you, mate, and keep it up. That means a lot, dude. Thank you so much. You guys, I don't know what's happened over the last week or two, but my God, the comments have been so cool, so lovely, and I'm feeling extremely loved. So thank you. No, like Eli, so the club could break all the financial rules with one owner who then sells the club. The club can then wash the hands of the old owner and rinse repeat. Yes and no, and we kind of have seen that. I mean, I think Chelsea lost 900 grand a week for 17 years under Roman Abramovich. It's something in and around that. And still to this day, I don't know what happened there. Did that money just get wiped off? Because I certainly don't feel like Chelsea were punished for losing 900 grand a week for 17 years, which is not an insignificant amount of money if you tot it up. I have a lot of questions, which I'm sure there are answers for, by the way, but I just don't know about Chelsea's takeover. Naturalist said, Neil Mellor posted on X about a good referee in an Ipswich game which has no VAR. The referee, Fari Halam, used to be a player in England and Spain. Maybe the PGMOL should look to former players to train. Absolutely. Agree 100%. Let's talk about the League Cup, right? How refreshing is it when you score a goal in that competition in the early rounds and all you have to do is look to the linesman? That's it. No more second guessing yourself. Because I tell you what, doing watchalongs, I withhold some celebrations at times because you're thinking, right, we've scored, but we now have to wait to see if they can forensically go back 4, 5, 6, 7 phases of play and rule this goal out. In a game that's normally a fairly low scoring sport compared to others, finding more ways to look to rule out goals doesn't feel the answer. Especially the way they're chopping and changing, and just stop fucking around with the rules as well. I'm 44 and I've played and watched football since I've been 7, and I don't know the handball rule. Imagine that. Imagine somebody who's been around football 35 odd years not knowing the handball rule. Should be simple, right? But it isn't. There seems to be one law for defenders and another law for attackers. I don't get it. You know? Can we sort that out before we go on to any more of the nonsense? Tonya said the Premier League's the best in the world with the worst refs in the world. Just this particular time as well. I really do feel we're going through a particularly bad era, Tonya, for referees in the Prem. Shane said, what a comeback. FAI Cup semi-final, here we go, up the Kingdom. I've no idea what game you're on about. I'm sure it's Kerry, obviously, Shane, but congrats. And an FAI Cup semi-final. Nothing wrong with it. What's the chances you think we see Isak in a Liverpool shirt on Sunday? Not to start trying, but off the bench, I would be very optimistic, mate, that we see 15-20 minutes of Isak. There's no chance he starts. The manager said that himself today. Let me just read it out for you. Where are we? Was it this one? He said, don't expect him to be every single game 90 minutes on the pitch. That's definitely not going to happen in the upcoming weeks. He missed pre-season. He missed 3-4 months of team sessions, and now we have to build him up gradually. So, yeah, I do think, like I said, far side of the October international break for me when you start seeing him starting regularly and, building up towards 90 minutes. I just made a banana bread. Whoop, whoop. Oh, I love banana bread. I love banana. Tell me you put some walnuts in it, though, Mika. Gotta have walnuts in there. So, I want to just talk about the title of tonight's stream because I promised somebody a while ago I'd go back over it. So, basically what has been put out there over the past week or two was that Liverpool have no plan to go back in for Mark A in January. But Arne Slot refused to rule out the possibility of going back for Mark A in January in his press conference, and Sky were at pains to make sure we knew about this. And then if you add into that the news from Team Talk that suggested Liverpool are looking at Wharton as a possible move in January as well for 60 million quid, it got me thinking, are we maybe going to see a move for Mark A in January, or may it come down to how Canate performs over the next few months? Because the plan has been, and you've seen it written by Chris Bascom and many others, to say that Liverpool will wait until the end of the season to get Mark A, but with Arne not ruling it out, maybe it's put a bit of doubt in it, and maybe there is a possibility that we go back in January. I would certainly say it's more likely we go back for Mark A in January than we go to sign Adam Wharton, personally. Tyrant said, I have so much respect for Mark A. What a pleasant and respectable guy. Yeah, you're right. He is a model pro. Seems like a damn good human being as well. And a great character, and one that I think would be a good addition to the Liverpool playing staff and to our club. Shane said, 3-0 down to Sligo Rovers, came back, went to extra time, scored the win on the 117th. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I see why you're happy now, Shane. That's... it hits different, doesn't it? When you get a comeback like that. And then especially the winner. Because if it goes to penalties and you win it, it's still special. But to get the fourth like that right at the end, I can see why you're happy. Dan said, if Joe scores at Anfield, it'll be an earthquake. He's surely got to score. We can't let Joe Gomez finish his Liverpool career, whenever that may be, without getting on the score sheet. He's got to get that goal. Where are we? Just confirmation as well, in case you are coming in a bit late, that Curtis Jones has been ruled out of the game against Burnley. Arne said Curtis Jones got injured in the last game, so he won't be available against Burnley, but I think the rest of them all came back without a problem, which is great news. Usually I fear in international breaks we're getting somebody back injured, but no fresh injury concerns is really good news. You think we'll get Elise and Rodrigo? Not both, mate, no, Trizzy, but I think there's a lot of credibility to the links to Elise. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say to you, we are 100% signing Michael Elise, but I do think he's the target for Mohamed Salah's long-term successor, whether that's next summer, the summer after, I don't know. But even if it is 2 years away, he'll only be 25, which is right into his prime at that point, and he'll have spent, 3 years at Bayern Munich then, having been at Palace before. I think that one makes a lot of sense. Hey, Brian's popped in and gifted 50 memberships. Just seen that out of the corner of my eye. Absolute legend. Brian, thank you, mate. I have the honour of going to the United game with Brian in October, and he's also going to be at our last ever live show. So delighted Brian's going to be there for the last one, because he was there for the first one, which is nuts. He flew in from Boston to Dublin for our first ever show, and now we're both going to the United game, and Brian will be at the Hot Water Comedy Club for our last ever show. So just on that, might as well give it a little plug. If you want to come and see us, we will be on stage Sunday 19th of October in Liverpool at the Hot Water Comedy Club for our last ever live stage show. Tickets, what are left of them, are priced at just £15. It is an all-ages event, and all the money that we receive from it on our side, we are donating to Joe's Wheelchair Basketball Fund. Proud to do it as well. So if you want to come and see us one last time, make sure you get your tickets. And again, you're not only going to hopefully see a good show, but you're going to be contributing to a very good cause as well. That wheelchair basketball chair that we're trying to help Joe get. Guest of honour. Yeah, Brian's going to, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Brian's going to introduce me this time onto stage, which was the plan in Boston, but of course Boston didn't go to plan. So yeah, Brian's going to be there. His brother's going to be there. His brother's missus is going to be there. We're going to have a musical act on the night. Chris is going to be there. Steve is going to be there. So you'll have the whole Anfield Agenda podcast team. And we're going to make it a night to remember. So if you can come along, make sure you get your tickets, because I think this one's going to sell out, which I'm very proud of for our last show. No walnuts, Craig. It's pronounced like Richards, by the way. Which one is Mika? Oh, as in Mika Richards. I was thinking, where are we going with Richards? Mika, cool. Thank you, Mika. No walnuts. I'll still eat it, though. I do love a banana bread. So well played on that one. Somebody asked earlier on why it was our last show, by the way. I just caught it out of the corner of my eye when I was going live. It's because of my stage fright. That's the reason. No other reason for it. It really, really is hard going for me to get up there on stage to do a show. So this will be the 7th one I think I've done, and the last one. So happy to do it back in Liverpool as well, where we do have some unfinished business, of course, because we were only able to do one of our 2 shows there in May, because obviously of the tragic incident at the parade. Right, Itachi said, have you seen the Virgil Isak hug today? I'm still smiling. They're all so happy, and so am I to see the squad. What was Isak's whisper last season? I'm not sure. I did see it. I also seen a very weird image of Virgil picking up Frimpong and carrying him like a baby, which was a strange one. But yeah, I did see it. And like you, mate, I've been smiling about it as well. It's just great to see Isak there and looking happy. Feck DJT said, I feel you there. Public speaking ain't easy. Oh, mate, for me to do a show, I have weeks of psychologist appointments. And honestly, for 2 weeks beforehand, I don't really sleep well. I'm a bag of nerves, and it impacts me in a huge way. I thought maybe I'd get over it as time goes on, but it hasn't. If anything, it just becomes more daunting. So want to do one more in our home in Liverpool, which is the Hot Water Comedy Club, who've been always amazing with us when we're there. Dean, how are you, dude? Said, I have a feeling Canade is suffering from the delusion Trent suffered. Would like to see Bradley or Frimpong on Sunday, but Szoboszlai has been good at right back. I think you could be right, Dean. Yeah, I think you could be right, because it feels like Canade sees himself as a Virgil van Dijk type leader, but I don't think he is yet. Now, he could get there, but he's not there yet for me, Dean, and probably for yourself as well. And with Szoboszlai, I just don't think he play right back this week because of Macca's situation. We've got Curtis Jones ruled out. Macca obviously not fully fit and playing the full 90 late and coming back late for Argentina. So my best guess, Dean, is that we'll see Bradley at right back and then in midfield of Wirtz, Szoboszlai and Gravenberch. But if he is at right back, Dom, well, we know what a good job he did there. So no worries with that one. And thank you, sir, for the super chat. Appreciate you. Right, do hit the like button for me as well if you can, ladies and gents. We're 496 at the minute. Every one of you that hits that button helps us push the channel out there. What's your walkout song gonna be? I did have one in mind for this show. I had Avicii for the last one. I don't think I've decided on it yet, to be honest with you. But it was Avicii, the last one, so I don't know what we'll do for this one. Naturalist said, Romano on X, Liverpool will for sure have a chance to extend Ibrahim Konaté's contract while Real Madrid keep thinking of the defender internally. They do not want to upset Liverpool. Thoughts? Well, I'm not buying that they don't want to upset Liverpool part. But I'm also not buying that Liverpool still have more chances to extend. Because if you've had 3 offers, like I said, you'll know at that point where everybody's at. So 3 offers, if that third offer has been rejected, as has been reported, I struggle to see that we're gonna join those dots. But let's wait and see. Paul said the hate by Newcastle United is still going on. Yeah, they are like bitter little exes, aren't they, Paul? It's so weird. It's maybe this was their relevancy, mate. I don't know. Maybe this was their little taste of the big time when the Reds were around. But what really gets me, mate, is they're still banging on about Isak. They're still calling him a rat. They're still doing everything. And yet they welcome Visa in with open arms, who had done exactly the same thing. And they don't seem to either care about that hypocrisy or even acknowledge that hypocrisy. No, like Eli said, Craig, as a lawyer who struggled with public speaking and stage fright for years, the trick for me to getting over was pretend like I was confident like an actor. No, I get that. Yeah, I've tried that, mate. As I said, I see a psychologist, and we've done visualization, we've done lots of stuff around it. And do you know what? I don't have a problem speaking in public. It's when I'm on my own. If I was in a group of 3 people on that stage, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. But I don't like being the centre of attention. And I know that sounds really ironic considering what I do for a living, but I don't. I'm a very introverted kind of fella who doesn't like being the centre of attention, doesn't like praise, doesn't like anything like that. I like to just keep my head down, do my shit, and get on with life. But when the lights are on and you're standing there and I feel unworthy of being there. That's it. Like I'm standing there going, I don't know why you're all here. And I feel like I'm going to let everybody down. So, but like I said, I appreciate everybody's help and insight on it. Have I seen much of Voltmada? A few bits and pieces, and I think he'd be a decent signing for Newcastle, but again, like Visa, they massively overpaid. Titanium would suit you well for the walkout song. Yeah, I'm not a David Guetta fan, but I get where you're coming from with the song, Shane. I think probably something more like DMX, X Gon' Give It To You, is a bit more me. Kind of just fed up of listening to people's opinions and bullshit towards me at times. Not you guys, but yeah, I'm a bit more angry in those regards. Am I excited about Leone as a prospect? I think he's one of the best young defenders. Definitely, Dylan. I just want to see him on the pitch, mostly. Because we know we've signed a really good player, but we haven't yet had a chance to see him, so sooner the better he gets some minutes. Sounds like you suffer a bit from imposter syndrome. Just know we all love you. Oh, thank you, Eli. I do, 100%. I say this to you guys all the time. This is why I don't take time off. I'm scared that you're going to go away. And now, we've gone from having 5,000 in the streams before the international break to now having between 1.5 and 2,000. And I know it's because of the international break. I understand that. But my head says, nah, they hate you now, dickhead. They've no interest in watching you anymore. They're not going to come along. So that's how I'm built. But I wouldn't say it's always a negative thing, because it keeps me focused and it keeps me sharp and it keeps me thinking like I keep having to prove myself. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, but that's the truth. I don't have much confidence in myself, and I don't get it, the appeal, but I'm very grateful for it all. Anything from the Pogues. Oh yes, I do love me some Pogues. Are you bringing the Champions League trophy to the live show? No. The last trophy got broken. So no more trophies to the shows. I bought myself a metal version of the Premier League trophy, like a full proper replica. That's not leaving my house ever. But no trophies this time. Mika said, Craig, being a fan for years to get 3 mentions in one video. Ledge, much love from York, UK. This is the upside, Mika, of these quieter streams, is we all do get a good chat, and that is something I really enjoy as well. You know, it's lovely to get to know people a bit better. And I always feel bad as well. You know, some streams lately we've been so busy that I felt like all I've been doing is reading super chats, and the guilt that I feel doing that, because of course you're very grateful for people spending their hard-earned money, but you don't want people to think you're ignoring them either. And that's my favourite part of this, is the interaction of it. I love getting to know you guys. I love having my opinions changed, challenged, or formed by you guys as well. So yeah, there are upsides to these things as well. Any update on the new studio? Builder's supposed to be here tomorrow and finalise the plans and sign off on the details, and then wait for it to be built. But yeah, you know, I hope to be sitting here talking to you on Monday to say that we've ordered the Anfield Agenda studio to be built. Yeah, it doesn't feel real yet, you know. This is the thing I've worked towards for 5-6 years, to get a space that I can actually work in, that isn't in my living room, that doesn't uproot my family every night, and to be able to get to the point to do it is testament to your support, and also it's cool. It's really exciting. Oh, I learned something today. Maybe you guys knew this, but just a quick fact before we finish up. I didn't know that Liverpool have never won a league title without having a Scottish player in the team. I found that out today. My mother-in-law bought me a little Liverpool fact book for my birthday, and that was one of the things I realised in it, that Liverpool have never won a league title without having a Scottish player in the squad. I don't need to see it, thanks. It's all right. Put it back in the office, will you? The office is the toilet, by the way, sorry.
You're learning as you go.
Biggie Mall said, do you have to have planning permission like we would in the UK? No, not for this structure. Not for the one we're building, mate, because we're not plumbing in water and stuff like that. So, yeah, the one we're going for doesn't need planning permission, thankfully. Because I guess it wouldn't be viewed as a permanent structure. So, yeah, no planning permission for it, thankfully. Where are we at? Got myself a repo with a 93 home shirt. Nice. Well, indeed. 93. Was it? Hang on. Is it the 92-93 centenary shirt? Because I have one of those upstairs, Dean. I managed to get a real one a few years back off eBay. But yeah, it's a cool shirt. If it is the centenary badge that I'm thinking of, if it's the one you got, nice. Well in. Right, ladies and gents, I'm going to end this poll and we're going to say goodnight. So should we keep VAR in football? It's nearly split, but 57% of you guys said yes, we should keep VAR in football. And the other 43% said no. So look, the plan tomorrow is the preview is going to be out tomorrow morning at about 10 o'clock. That's recorded already and good to go. There won't be a live stream tomorrow. I'm taking the day off live streaming, so I will have a news video out. And then I will see you guys on Sunday for the watch along. We're starting from 12:45, obviously watch along, match reaction, player ratings video, and then a late night agenda stream on Sunday night as well. Have a lovely weekend, all of you. I hope it is filled full of fun and happy memories for you all. And I will see you on Sunday. Much love. Bye.